Some dramatic video into the newsroom tonight. A 12-hour standoff between that man and police in York Region. CBC Toronto obtained this new video showing his surrender late last night. The man leaves the house, puts his hands up as tactical units moved in. He barricaded himself inside for the whole day as police negotiated his surrender. Good evening, I'm Lisa Shing. The 34-year-old man is now facing several charges, including attempted murder. That is how the standoff ended last night, with Shirvan Shirazadeh in handcuffs being led away by police. Now, this all started around 10:30 yesterday morning. An officer made a traffic stop near the intersection of Bayview and Major Mackenzie in Richmond Hill. Shirazadeh started shooting at the officer, who shot back. He then sped off to a house nearby and barricaded himself inside. Almost 12 hours later, police arrested him. Shirazadeh is facing 11 charges, including attempted murder and firearm offenses. Police say he was also charged with firearm offenses back in 2012. A woman in her 30s is in serious condition after she was hit by a car and pinned to a building.
Everyone around us was just shaking and just saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm just like, oh my God, like her life just drastically changed. Like all three of us, like our lives just drastically changed.
It happened at Gerrard and Bay this afternoon. A crash involving two cars forced one of them off the road and onto the sidewalk. That's where it hit the woman. She was taken to a trauma center. Heading to Mississauga now, where police say two men are dead after an altercation with each other this morning.
All I understand is that it was an altercation between the two. As to the specifics of the incident, I'm unaware.
It happened in the area of Glen Erin Drive and the College Way just before 1 a.m. A 28-year-old and 44-year-old man were found outside a house. Each of them had stab wounds. One man was pronounced dead on scene. The other died in hospital. Police say the two men knew each other but are not related.
It's our understanding at this time that the altercation took place between both males, not necessarily an attack on one male. We do believe at this time this to be an isolated incident and no immediate threat to the public, and our Homicide Bureau is currently investigating.
Police are not looking for any other suspects. They don't know what the men were fighting about, but are ruling out a murder-suicide situation. Now, anyone with information is asked to contact police. And Toronto police say a 22-year-old man is critically injured after falling off the back of a cube van this morning. It happened at 2:30 a.m. near O'Connor Drive and Donlands Avenue. Police say the man was out with friends. He left the group and jumped on the bumper of a cube van stopped at a red light. Now, when the van moved, the man fell and hit his head. Paramedics found him unconscious and took him to a trauma center. The driver of the cube van drove off. Police say they're treating the incident as a hit and run, and they're asking the driver to contact them. Officers closed the area for hours for an investigation, but they ran into a little more trouble. Police say a car drove through the caution tape they put up. It stopped right in the middle of the crime scene. The male driver was arrested and charged with driving while over 80 milligrams. Mayor John Tory spoke today on the death of a Toronto trans activist. Toronto police say Julie Berman died of blunt impact trauma to her head last Sunday after an assault at a downtown residence. Police have charged a 29-year-old man with second-degree murder. Today, Mayor Tory said in part, every single day people face violence and hatred because they are transgender. More than ever, we must come together as allies and demonstrate our commitment to protecting the rights and freedoms of this vulnerable community, many of whom call Toronto their home. A group of residents displaced by the Gosford apartment fire are worried about the condition of their building, even though the city has cleared some of them to move back in. As Kelda Yoon reports, they're calling on the city to stop what it's doing until concerns are addressed.
Really, this is a call for precaution.
With a group of tenants standing behind her, lawyer Kareem Assad listed some of their concerns.
We are concerned about air quality and soot. I know that there have been soot marks on walls that appear to have been painted over, which is wholly inadequate.
Hilda Rubico lives with her husband and 3 sons on the first floor.
When we go back yesterday to bring some stuff in, there's some kind of chemical smells inside, and I don't want to bring my son in there because he's got asthma.
The 5-alarm fire back in November killed 1 person and displaced about 700. So far, 35 units have been cleared by the city. But SAD says how the city came to that conclusion has not been revealed.
Residents want to see a comprehensive report from an environmental engineer or an industrial air quality hygienist.
The landlord, Ron K. Management, says air quality testing has been done and there were no concerns, adding that a written report is in the works. Building management says residents should expect their unit to look the way it did the day of the fire and that it's their responsibility to dispose of any damaged property and to clean their own belongings. Residents must also sign a waiver if they want their unit to undergo industrial cleaning, which will happen after they move back in.
I cannot let my kids go back in the unit that's not even clean.
This tenant's 5th floor unit has been cleared, but he won't be moving back in just yet.
To be honest, in this situation where you have to go in and out with a hard hat and with a security with you, and they don't even allow people to go in the stairs, how do you say it's safe, right?
Councillor Anthony Peruzza says he understands the concerns, but says the units are only cleared if they pass rigorous inspection by experts.
If we're not going to accept the advice of the experts that we hire to make these decisions on our behalf, then who is it that we're going to listen to?
Some residents say they want a separate review done by an independent third party. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, time to check in with Sonia Sash now for our first look at weather. We're hearing the city is getting some salt brine ready for poor driving conditions tomorrow. What's going on?
I know. I'm sorry to say that. Ice storm threat is in effect this weekend. Will it impact our New Year's? I'm going to break it all down, but right now we are sitting at feeling like 0 degrees. We are above seasonal right now. Oakville feels like 1. The winds are subsiding, dying down until this system makes its way through. And by morning, Sunday morning, we could start to see wind gusts at about 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. So this is what's happening right now. Environment Canada has issued a freezing rain warning for Toronto and the GTA. So I'm going to break it all down in terms of timing. So here's this low pressure system making its way through, impacting Toronto Sunday. And will we see some of that freezing rain in and around the GTA? Well, by morning, it's going to be a lot of rain. Toronto by the afternoon could see some of that freezing rain or rain definitely along the north end. We'll see that snow and there could be some ice pellets right there in the middle. By the afternoon, a wider spread of ice and freezing rain. GTA Toronto, again, more of that rain. We could see over 11 millimeters of that rain accumulating over the next couple of days. But Woodbridge, GTA, again, more of that rain. So yes, treacherous driving. Be careful out there.
Well, it had to happen at some point. Thanks a lot, Sonia.
Thank you.
2019 was a good year if you were selling, and that's expected to stay the same in 2020. Housing prices are expected to increase even more next year thanks to a continued low supply and a stronger economy. Angelina King explains.
At a steady open house in Toronto's East York neighborhood, Yousaf Isla is looking to relocate from the suburbs to the city. He says to do that, he'll have to downsize and spend more.
Toronto prices are kind of very high. Yeah? Under 1 million, it's maybe more competitive.
According to the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, the average GTA house price is set to go up by 5% next year, reaching as high as nearly $900,000, compared to the country's average of about $500,000. This realtor says prices, especially in downtown Toronto, make buying impossible for some.
It's really hard. The prices are so high right now. Simple, we're at $1,000 a square foot. Who has that kind of 20% down to put and start with?
The rental market, not much better. An average 2-bedroom in the GTA is set to cost more than $1,600 a month next year. But CMHC says it's expecting a gradual increase in the rental supply and a more stable market.
We had a period where, activity was down and prices were down, but we're starting to see a recovery.
CMHC also says construction will rebound with condos leading the way.
If we don't get stronger construction or more housing supply in order to balance the demand pressures, the risk is house prices could start to get very strong again, and it could further erode affordability.
A report by RE/MAX says current owners looking to upgrade will drive demand in 2020, but Pearson says even those clients are having trouble, sometimes waiting more than a year to find a place.
They're competing on pretty much everything they're interested in, so it's hard for buyers.
Pearson says he thinks 2020 will continue to be a seller's market with not enough product and high prices. He and some buyers we spoke with at this open house say they'd like to see more government intervention in hopes of a more balanced market in the future. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
In Somalia's capital, as dozens are killed and even more wounded in a bus bombing in Mogadishu. And remember that daring rescue of a soccer team from a flooded cave in Thailand last year? A Navy officer involved in the operation has died. We'll tell you why, coming right up. Bombings are not rare occurrences in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, but even by that standard, this morning's attack was devastating. At least 90 people were killed and more than 100 wounded. And as Megan Fitzpatrick tells us, the death toll is expected to rise.
The scene was gruesome. Witnesses describing the carnage said there were bodies everywhere. It was around 8 a.m. when a vehicle packed with explosives blew up at a busy intersection on the outskirts of Mogadishu. Crowds of people were lined up at a nearby tax collection center at the time, and a bus carrying university students to school was hit by the blast. The young people are among those killed in the attack. Officials say at least 90 people are dead, including both civilians and police officers. The attack happened near a security checkpoint. Those who survived were rushed to multiple hospitals in a steady stream of ambulances. Upwards of 50 people were brought to this hospital alone. No one immediately claimed responsibility for the brazen attack, but the terrorist group Al-Shabaab has carried out these kinds of bombings many times before. The Islamist militia is believed to be behind a devastating bombing in Mogadishu in 2017 that killed nearly 600 people. 2 trucks exploded in the center of the city. There have been many other bombings in the city this year, but today's is by far the deadliest. Terrorism experts say the attacks are designed to send a message at home and abroad.
This is very much about engaging with several segments of a larger global audience for this. Locally, of course, this helps Al-Shabaab remind locals that it is very much a potent enterprise, and this helps them with extorting money, what they call taxing the civilian populace.
Smith said Al-Shabaab is also trying to undermine the internationally recognized government and its abilities to contain terrorist threats. The United States has carried out dozens of drone attacks in Somalia this year, targeting militants, but they proved again today they're still able to carry out deadly attacks on innocent people. Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC News, Washington.
A diver who took part in the dramatic rescue of a boys' soccer team from a cave in Thailand last year has died, and doctors believe his death was a direct result of his involvement in that operation. The CBC's Shannon Martin explains.
For 17 days, the world watched, captivated by scenes like this. Divers risking everything to save 12 boys and their soccer coach trapped in a flooded cave. Now, more than a year and a half later, one of those heroes has died. Thai Navy SEAL Beirut Pakbara was reportedly killed by a blood infection, something Thai officials say he caught during the risky operation.
There are multiple infections that people can be exposed to.
This infectious disease specialist says water, vegetation, even animals inside caves can pose risks. But he says catching an infection is uncommon.
Some of the infections that can be acquired in a cave environment can have either acute manifestations, and sometimes these infections can have more chronic illness associated with them. But it's very challenging to speculate to know exactly what this individual had.
13. Brilliant.
It was nothing short of a miracle the entire soccer team survived. The boys, aged 11 to 16, spent 9 days trapped in the cave. After they were located, it took 8 days of grueling effort to get them out. It was during those critical moments that another Thai Navy diver lost his life. He was resupplying oxygen tanks along the escape route.
We were there, on a day when the first Navy SEAL passed away.
Diving instructor Eric Brown from British Columbia was part of an international team of support divers helping in the rescue. The news of another death, he says, comes as a shock.
Our team was pretty banged up, and we'd cut some bruises, and we had feet infections, and we had some stuff from sitting in the water for 8 hours at a time.
Thai media reports say Pakbara had been in and out of the hospital ever since the rescue. He died Friday. Shannon Martin, CBC News, Toronto.
And back in Canada, a fire at a New Brunswick tire recycling facility has finally been extinguished. The fire sent huge clouds of smoke into the air last weekend. Since then, crews have been burying it with sand. The last load was applied late last night, leaving sand covering an area of about 2 hectares. The fire is still smoldering underneath, and air and water advisories remain in place. What caused the fire is still not known. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper and filmmaker James Cameron are among 120 people saluted with the Order of Canada today. Cameron is the Oscar-winning director of Titanic and Avatar and is from Northern Ontario. He's been made a Companion of the Order, the highest of the honor's 3 levels. So is Harper. He, of course, was Canada's 22nd Prime Minister and served for nearly a decade. Other recipients, recent Nobel Prize-winning physicist Donna Strickland and several former CBC hosts. Now, days after defeating their rival from the South, Team Canada lost 6-0 to Russia today at the World Junior Hockey Championship, one of the team's worst losses ever.
Byron with it. Time winds down.
The pain started early in the first and just kept going. Team Canada also lost star winger Alexis Lafreniere to an apparent knee injury early in the second period. The under-20 event is being played in the Czech Republic. Canada will now regroup to play against Germany on Monday. Now, they brought the country together by bringing home the NBA title for the first time in history. And now the Canadian press has named the Toronto Raptors Team of the Year.
Canada, the NBA title is yours.
It was pretty much a slam dunk in an almost unanimous poll. The Raptors scored 61 out of 67 votes for the annual award. The honor is chosen by writers, broadcasters, and editors from across the country.
Turns a corner for the win.
Today I fed my Christmas tree to my 6 goats. They will eat now until it's just the stem and the sticks.
Well, there's a unique way to recycle your Christmas trees. We'll tell you all about these goats pining for a bite coming right up. Well, so far it's been a pretty mild winter. So mild, in fact, golfers in Essex County are still getting a few games in. It seems to be a pretty lucky time of year for at least one of them, hitting his second ever hole-in-one.
16th hole, par 3. It was 102 yards. Jeff used the gap wedge, one bounce and in. Hole-in-one today. December 27th, it was 50 degrees at 6 a.m. this morning. I knew we were in for a good day.
We were actually very lucky. We didn't anticipate even having to get a tee time, and when we arrived here shortly before 9 o'clock, they said there were no tee times available. Luckily for us, they were able to join us with a twosome, and we got off at 9:30. It's funny because a couple of years ago at Fox Glen Golf Course, it was December with a wind chill factor below freezing, and the same thing happened. And to think that my only 2 hole-in-ones were in December, freezing golf, lucky to even have a golf course open. Well, welcome to Windsor and Essex County.
I witnessed that one, by the way, too.
You were there for that one, too?
Yeah.
What's he like in the summer? Like, is he any good of a golfer when the conditions are perfect?
Yeah, he's a good golfer. No question.
Yeah, it's just, it's uncanny. It's like, what are the odds of getting a hole-in-one in the first place? To have it twice in December is unbelievable.
You had to make that one. You're on TV.
Windsor, where patio season starts in March too. Sonia Sash is back with another look at our weather. Can't complain much, but I know we're looking forward to some more messy stuff on the way, huh?
Unfortunately, yes, an ice storm threat for the weekend. Is it going to impact us on New Year's Eve? Well, I'm going to break it all down for you in just a little bit. But tomorrow morning, that is when it all starts. It's going to feel like -4, but that rain begins. So again, if you are on the road, please be careful. This is the system, that low that's making its way through, impacting Toronto. We could see some of that freezing rain in Toronto, Markham, GTA, but I'm going to break it down even further in terms of what we can expect. So Sunday morning, we've got that rain really building into Toronto, and then right there, Dundalk could see some of that rain, freezing rain mix as well. And then Toronto, again, by the afternoon, could see some of that freezing rain. Barrie, it's more widespread freezing rain, and then to the north, a lot of that snow. But we're not done there. By Monday morning, again, more of those showers, and then the system continues to move, and so does that freezing rain risk. Will we have that freezing rain into the new year? Well, probably not, but in terms of accumulation, we could see some of that 2 millimeters of that freezing rain in and around the Markham region. Toronto could see over 11 millimeters of rain going into Sunday, and then another 9 millimeters going into the Monday. So in saying that, there is a freezing rain warning in effect right now. So if you are out there, please be careful, because it could be treacherous. We could see some power outages as well, but New Year's Eve is going to look kind of nice, mixed snow.
All right.
But
Looking
that
forward
freezing
to
rain
that.
is gone.
Get your snow tires ready, that's for sure.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Sonia.
Thank you.
A London, Ontario woman has found a creative way to get rid of her Christmas tree this year by feeding it to her goats.
They will eat now until it's just the stem and the sticks. They're going to smell really good, that's for sure. They'll have great breath for a while. It smells beautiful out here.
Not only does it make for great pictures, the needles are apparently good for the animal's digestive system. These 6 goats devoured the tree within minutes. Wonder if it's good for humans too. Well, that's it for our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.